Okay. Whose microphones? Because I'm short. I have to have enough room so I can flip that. Okay. So this one is also one that...
Yeah, that's the... Alright.
That's for the speakers, Chief, and this is for the camera. So
Okay.
yeah.
So I need both, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I can do it this way.
That what you look like. Yeah.
Take a turn to the pole.
Hey, Chief. Okay, good. So then city manager?
Maria's not here.
Okay, I saw Kelly Bacon maybe. Oh, there they are.
So I'm just, this is what I'm doing. Okay. Is it okay for me to, especially our special investigations unit, is it okay to say that? Okay.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
no problem.
And are we going to clean this each time afterwards?
Yeah, I'll take care of that.
Okay.
So I've been wiping it down anytime it's touched.
But I have to have this pulled down for me, so...
Where do you want it, Chief? So you're
Well,
going to go first. I'll do the intros, but I can have it wherever you want it.
but if we... So if I'm this far away, I don't know if it'll pick up. So I think it has to be like this. And that. I don't know. So I can do that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So we'll just keep that like that,
Yeah.
if that's okay.
Not a problem. So I'm just going to do introductions.
Look at these weeds. Did you look at this?
Not only did I see that, I just hadn't realized that I feel that and then I just noticed that.
Yeah, the other day I pulled the weeds. And so you notice that stuff. City map. Yeah. Okay. So we're not all going to stand up here. We're going to just come up.
One at a time.
Okay. ceremony outside. There was a big crow that was up on the thing
Right.
making noises.
It was making weird noises.
It was.
We're just waiting for a city manager.
Did you hear that crow out in the courtyard?
Yeah, I was wondering. You didn't look at it once.
I saw it. It was making all kinds of noises.
Yeah, if you could. Yeah. Are you able to?
Yeah,
You want to come and do a share if there's one available?
I got that chair.
Oh, perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, I knew it for a long time.
That's perfect. Actually, I'll move my folder once I'm done here.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Dan Peak from the Chula Vista Police Department, and thank you for coming today in regards to our cannabis enforcement press conference. Before we get started, I want to do a few introductions and let you know who's here, and also give you an order of speakers that will be talking today in regards to this issue. First, I want to recognize the Chief of the Chula Vista Police Department, Chief Roxana Kennedy. Also want to recognize that the Mayor of Chula Vista, Mary Casillas Salas, is here. The City Manager for the City of Chula Vista, Maria Cachadorian. The City of Chula Vista City Attorney, Glenn Guggens. Also want to recognize the San Diego County District Attorney, Summer Steffen. Also here today we have Deputy City Manager Kelly Bacon. And he was here earlier. I believe Councilmember Mike Diaz is here as well. Thank you, sir. Okay, today's press conference will be recorded on Facebook Live. That'll be going out to our social media sites. I'm sorry, did I forget somebody? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Galvez. I didn't see you with the mask on over there. Thank you. Okay, as I was saying, we will have this recorded on Facebook Live for our social media site. I also will be available for questions after the press conference. We also will have a Spanish-speaking PIO available for any Spanish media after the press conference as well. With that, I would like to introduce our first speaker for today. I would like to introduce Chief Roxana Kennedy.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. We are here today on the same date that we remember the impacts of 9/11. On September 11th of 2001, a series of coordinated attacks deeply affected our nation. 2,977 lives were lost, and over 25,000 people were injured. First responders rushed into the smoke and ash, and 412 of them lost their lives. We must never forget the importance of remembrance and remembering all the lost lives and honoring the fallen heroes. I would like to ask for a moment of silence and quiet remembrance in honor of the victims of 9/11. Thank you. Why are we here today? Because I am pleased as Chief of Police to share with you, with our community, that all illegal marijuana dispensaries, which have caused harm to our community for months now, have been closed. And our personnel, that does deserve applause. And what I'd like our community to know, our personnel stand ready to shut down and arrest any other illegal operators should they open in our city. Illegal dispensaries versus legal dispensaries is really the question right now. The city is finalizing the process of licensing legal dispensaries, and shortly you'll hear from Mayor Casillas Salas, who will provide more details about the legal dispensaries. But I want to emphasize at this time, and during our investigation, no dispensaries were licensed for legal operations. All dispensaries were operating illegally in Chula Vista, and the impact of illegal dispensaries causes danger to our public areas surrounding dispensaries and causing significant concerns and numerous complaints from our community. These operations were loaded with illegal products, millions in cash, and guns. They were a source of crime and disorder, including multiple violent crimes. These illegal dispensaries had unregulated products, often made with banned chemicals and even pesticides. Many of these organizations are run by large criminal enterprises. How dangerous are these illegal operations? Well, I hope you're aware of this week's murder of 7 victims connected to a illegal facility in Riverside. We have been listening to our community, responding to complaints, and also standing up for legal businesses preparing to open with proper regulation. In early 2020, Chula Vista had between 27 to 30 illegal dispensaries in our city. Today, thanks to the combined efforts of our officers and partners across this region, there are now none. I would like to recognize the agencies who helped us close down these illegal dispensaries. One being the Chula Vista Police Department, and I'd like to recognize, although they can't be identified, our Special Investigations Unit has done an amazing job and worked with multiple other departments throughout Chula Vista Police Department and made this a priority. Thank you. Also, we'd like to give recognition to San Diego Police Department, the San Diego Sheriff's Department, District Attorney Summer Steffen's office, Chula Vista City Attorney Glenn Guggen's office, Homeland Security and Investigations, Chula Vista Code Enforcement Division, and the Chula Vista Public Works Division. It takes a team to work together when you're dealing and trying to combat these illegal dispensaries. Between February and August, detectives served 30 search warrants at illegal dispensaries in Chula Vista. All illegal dispensaries were closed, and most closed permanently. 26 arrests for criminal offenses. Over $34 million in product was seized. Over $6 million in cash was seized. 23 firearms were recovered, and over 100 DA advisory warnings were issued to those involved in dispensary operations, but not arrested. The results are for a safer community across our city, a safer environment for legal businesses of all types, a decrease in crime and disorder and traffic-related issues surrounding targeted locations, more police response to address other community concerns, and a better environment for legal regulated cannabis businesses to begin. And a dedicated team is ready to respond should illegal operators attempt to circumvent safe and legal business regulations. This is truly important to our community, and we thank our community for understanding that it takes time for us to work together to close down these illegal businesses. And I will now turn it over to our mayor, who will talk about the legal side of the businesses for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Kennedy, and all your team and all the partners that we had in closing down these illegal shops. So it is only through the example of this coordination and cooperation that we are here today to celebrate the closure of these unlicensed shops in Chula Vista. And I just want to point out that I'm sure that Deputy Mayor Jill Galvez and Councilmember Mike Diaz are particularly happy because we know that on the west side here in Chula Vista that these illegal pot shots were really a scourge in our community. So it's a happy day for Mike and Jill. So these illegal shops caused tremendous problems in our community because they were open all hours, had no controls to prevent loitering, crime, or other negative effects in their surrounding communities. Because these illegal shops are so profitable, I suspect that they have not gone away forever, so we must be vigilant and continue to prosecute any illegal pot shop in our business in Chula Vista. And we'll be able to do that a lot quicker because of Glenn Guggens and his outstanding team in the legal department. California voters have spoken overwhelmingly in approving Proposition 64, which legalized the adult use of cannabis. One way to keep these illegal shops closed is to provide a safe and controlled legal access to cannabis. Although it's taken a long time, I'm glad to announce that we have finished phase 1 of the licensing process for cannabis businesses in Chula Vista. There are several reasons why this licensing process has taken so long. Number one, this is a new business for many cities. And number two, and more importantly, we wanted to ensure that we had the best possible owners and managers of these cannabis businesses. We had to ensure that criminal elements were not part of the Chula Vista's illegal cannabis trade. In accordance with our ordinance, every city council district will have the maximum of 2 storefront retail businesses, and 3 council districts will have a retail delivery business. In addition, we are processing licenses for cultivation, manufacturing, distribution, and testing facilities. These legal cannabis businesses will operate very differently than the illegal shops. Only the storefront retail businesses will be allowed to have public access, and safety plans must be approved by our police department, and hours of business and operation will be limited. And these businesses can only sell to adults over the age of 21, and we know that the illegal shops were selling to underage minors. Finally, our police and code enforcement units will have the ability to make regular inspection of these businesses, and our finance department will audit their records to ensure that all state and local taxes are paid. It is a common best practice for legal cannabis retailers to have security personnel inside and outside their stores to ensure public safety and to minimize the impact on their surrounding neighbors. These legal cannabis businesses are now in the process of applying for their state license and are working to have their operating plans approved and to make necessary tenant improvements. We expect to have the first legal cannabis business open within the next couple of months. So thank you very much for attending our press conference today. It truly is one of the few times that it's really great news in Chula Vista. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, next, City Attorney Glenn Googans is going to come up and give a few words in regards to the City Attorney's Office involvement in this process. Glenn?
Thanks everybody for gathering today for this event, one that's very gratifying for me and a number of us here who have been working on this challenge for a while now. I must say, this really has been one of the most vexing challenges of my tenure. Really not even in the last few months, Chief, but back, as you know, for the last any number of years. We were dealing with operators that had no respect for the law and with enough money and cunning that they were able to hide their identities, delay our efforts to civilly enforce and shut down their businesses, and suffer relatively minor monetary losses and temporary shutdowns, only to open up again and go back into business shortly thereafter. We did have over the years some meaningful success with our civil prosecution efforts and closed down really over 50, bordering on 60 businesses during that time frame. But we knew with the problem and how it wasn't just going away, we needed to do more. And that's what led to the formation of our Neighborhood Protection Unit. Thanks to the support of our City Council, our Mayor, Councilmember Diaz probably being a particular champion of that group, the support of the Chula Vista Police Department, and absolutely the support of our District Attorney to help us create and authorize this group. We were able to create the city's first ever dedicated criminal prosecution unit. And that's been important. But what really turned the tide was the focused efforts of Chula Vista Police Department, and in particular, the Special Investigations Unit headed up by Sergeant Mike Varga. Their expertise and competence and focus on an intense both number, volume, and aggressive execution of criminal search warrants and the seizure of the property and the follow-up at the district attorney's office is really what turned the tide on this and allowed us to be where we are today. The police department, though, will be the first to tell you it takes a team to handle such a problem, and in fact Chief Kennedy did just that with her opening remarks, but I want to emphasize the value added by the different people involved. First of all, the district attorney. Part of very much turning the tide was Summer's recognition of what a serious problem that this had become down here for us, and her willingness to involve and dedicate her resources and really to up the ante on the prosecution, both with felony prosecution and with asset seizure authority and skill set that she has with her group really made a huge difference. Code enforcement has been there all along through the civil enforcement process and now on the scene with the execution of the criminal search warrants has also been extremely important in getting these often dangerous condition properties back into compliance. Councilmember Diaz, who suffered the vast majority of the impacts of this with a disproportionate number of these facilities operating in the 4th District, has been a champion for focusing resources on this problem and for my group and for all the folks involved. And so he definitely played a really important role in driving this. And last but not least, I definitely want to recognize my group, Megan McClurg handling the civil enforcement, and now Nicole Carnahan, the head of the neighborhood prosecution unit, working with the district attorney's office, who will handle the more serious crimes, but to buttress that with the more minor offenses is going to be a very important party in team member in dealing with this going forward. The chief and the mayor, you're absolutely right, we need to remain vigilant. We celebrate today the elimination of these illegal operations, but they've not gone away. And this problem, as folks saw in the city of San Diego, just morphed into a different version of this problem. Illegal delivery businesses and other types of things that will also need to be able to be nimble and be able to respond to. But I think we've clearly communicated with this effort how we mean business, and with the district attorney, now involved that much more. Very grateful for the efforts of everybody to bring us to this point. So thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Just going to do a quick little cleaning up here. Okay, next I would like to invite to the podium the district attorney for the San Diego County, Summer Steffen.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be with everybody here at the great Chula Vista Police Department with Chief Roxana Kennedy heading a dedicated group of police officers. Let me tell you, these illegal dispensaries, we learned they are organized crime. The money is in the millions. And because of that, there is a lot of danger to police officers as they try to shut down these facilities. It operates based on greed. We've had 2 murder cases related to illegal dispensaries and multiple violent robberies. This is not a legal business or even a peaceful business. By far, this is a business that's based in greed, in cartels, in organized crime. This is why it took the unified effort of the San Diego District Attorney's Office, the specialized unit at the Chula Vista Police Department, dedicating resources along with City Attorney Glenn Googans
and along with the backing of Mayor Salas and City Council. And we worked together, and this is what we did. We first traveled across the state to find out where have there been successes in shutting down illegal dispensaries. We brought that information back, and we joined in a historic meeting after bringing all of the information. And we had been working the steps step by step, but this historic meeting that was the best of San Diego County's collaboration with the Sheriff, San Diego Police Department, Chula Vista Police Department, and even some very smart people from the tax and revenue section who are losing a lot of tax money that people voted for in passing Proposition 64. And as we brought all of these pieces together, we put a plan together, because it takes a plan to bring down organized crime. And these dedicated officers in Chula Vista PD took on this work of multiple search warrants, multiple surveillance, multiple observations. And I can't talk to you about everything that was done, but I can tell you it was an intensive effort that began before February 18 of 2020, but was ready to go as of that date. And in that short period of time, we focused on Chula Vista and East County, and $9 million of illegal profits were brought. There's 15 felony charges, multiple search warrants, but at the same time, we paid attention to the fact that there are some young kids who are being offered jobs at these places, and they are not the head of the crime group. And for those kids, we gave them warnings. We gave them warnings because that's the right thing to do, but we followed the trail to lead us up to the top operators, the crime bosses. This is continuing, and you will see it continue. You will hear more about it. We're going to remain vigilant together to make sure that this doesn't happen. And I can tell you that personally for me, there was a clear turning point as I tried to prioritize public safety across this second largest county that's bigger than 21 states. And it was a conversation I had with Councilman Diaz. And he described the families. Now, these families are not rich, but they are rich in family tradition and in loving their community and their families. And just because they weren't economically rich, their kids deserve to walk on the streets and not have the plague of illegal dispensaries, and have their kids enticed to go in there, because if somebody is willing to operate illegally, they're also willing to sell to kids. That was just plain wrong. It deserved bringing our unified resources to shut it down. I want to thank my narcotics team, Terry Perez and Sean Tefreschi, for working very hard on this well-deserving project. And it's a real honor to work with the collaboration that we see here today. Thank you.
Thank you to District Attorney Sept for that. That concludes our speakers for the press conference for this afternoon. I do understand there might be some specific questions that maybe want to be asked by the media to the group. Please let me know if those questions you want to ask them now. I'll also be available after the press conference on camera if you want some on camera talking points then. We also have a Spanish speaking PIO available as well for any Spanish media that is here. With that, I'll take any questions. Yes, go ahead.
Could you tell us some of like the specific cartels or criminal organizations, like who specifically are we talking about here?
In regards to the investigations that are ongoing, in regards to the 30 criminal search warrants that have been served since April 21st, those investigations have uncovered various organized crime sources. Because those investigations are still ongoing, I'm not going to name those groups specifically at this time. but I can tell you that there is organized crime backing that is behind these illegal operations.
What about for the 15 felony charges? Can you, like, since the charges have been filed already, can you disclose any information on that?
In regards to the felony charges, they vary. They can be anything from a felon in possession of a firearm to individuals being warned numerous times and continuing to operate these illegal facilities. It could be for people in possession of illegal hardcore narcotics. I can tell you that in regards to these operations, we also found individuals that were not only dealing illegal marijuana, but also selling hardcore drugs, also involved in prostitution, also involved in weapons deals as well. Yes? Yeah, so we did 30 criminal search warrants since April 21st till August 28th, and several of the illegal marijuana dispensaries were located in very close proximity to schools, specifically elementary schools. Some of those dispensaries were located on Main Street in the south area of Chula Vista, and also on Broadway, just a few blocks from where we are right now. So unfortunately, these ownerships had no regard for the children in the area, and children would oftentimes have to walk by these illegal businesses as they were to go to school.
Do you guys think like this is sort of celebrating too early here? I know that you guys have been dealing with this problem for years. You close them and they reopen up a couple days later or a couple weeks later. So how can you ensure that they're not going to reopen like that?
Well, I want to emphasize that the Chula Vista Police Department, in addition to the partnership that we have with us today, we take enforcement very seriously, and we have officers constantly monitoring if an illegal establishment is trying to open up. If it is identified as being an illegal establishment and it does open up, the criminal investigation will start immediately. We take zero tolerance in regards to these illegal establishments opening up, and we'll move quickly to shut them down.
I know the city attorney talks about upping the ante on the prosecution with the DA's office. Like, what exactly are we talking about there? Like more charges going after like landlords?
Yeah, in regard to that, I don't know if the city attorney or some district attorney, Stefan, would like to come up and address that specific question.
Sure. So there are two key charges that we're relying on. They're felony charges, Health and Safety 11366 for operating a drug house, and Health and Safety Section 11366.5, and that's about renting a room or building to distribute drugs. They're both felonies, and so is the Tax and Revenue Code evasion. And those new felonies as strategies just have more power to deter and more power to hold accountable.
Do you guys talk to any like the landlords or any like, I mean, how far do these criminal syndicates go? Like, are they owning the properties and the buildings too? Or?
Yeah, so the question is, how far do these criminal syndicates go in regards to their operations? So I can tell you that it goes anywhere from them actually purchasing these illegal storefronts and actually owning the building. That has been done before. Obviously, a lot of times we're seeing that landlords are actually duped into giving leases out to these illegal business owners and not realizing that they have nefarious motives behind them opening the establishment. So we found that as well.
And just like in general, I know the city attorney said it was like one of the hardest things he's had to deal with here. Why is, I mean, there's laws on the books, why is it hard for?
So in regards to this process and the difficulty, number one, the legalization of marijuana, recently took place in the state of California. So with that legalization, there's a lot of laws and parameters and procedures that we have to work through as a law enforcement agency and also as a city. And during that time, as we work to get legalized businesses in the city of Chula Vista that sell cannabis-related products, we had, of course, the people that wanted to operate illegally come in, move in quickly, and this problem really came up quickly. And like I said earlier, we had at one point 30 illegal operations operating in the city of Chula Vista. At that point, that's when we had a team partnership come together with all the stakeholders involved to make sure we could quickly stamp out this problem, because it was quickly becoming a problem for our city. Yes, sir.
The chief mentioned, I think HSI was involved. Could you tell me what specifically that agency contributed to this?
So in regards to the individual agencies that assisted in this process, I won't get into specifics of what each agency brought forward, but what I can tell you that when you have illegal operations, and sometimes these businesses are large, they have a large amount of product in them, they possibly have individuals that are believed to be armed within the business, and so oftentimes the Chula Vista Police Department will reach out to our law enforcement partners to ask for resources just for execution of the search warrants. And then once it is deemed that the business has been shut down and that we have control of the situation, a lot of times those law enforcement partners will stop with assisting in the operation. At this point, I'm going to end the questions for the press conference. However, I will be available for any on cameras that are needed, and also, like I said, I do have a Spanish-speaking PIO available as well. Thank you for everybody coming today. Destin.
Hey, no problem.